I am the demon, Lilith Grimm. I am the devourer of pain. I feast on the bounty of despair, and you are listening to the E's and B's podcast.
Good morning, wrestling fans. This is the E's and B's, the bacon and eggs of pro wrestling sports podcast. Here's your host, Eddie B. All right. Welcome back to this beautiful Friday morning. Glad to have you all back. Thank you for all the support out there. We got a huge plate of breakfast to serve up. Got so many things to go over. Got a couple first times. Segment's gonna be super loaded for all you fans out there. As always, let's get started right away with the sunny side up. Obviously, this week, folks, and going forward, we're all about the Halloween Havoc. So we're going to be having all kinds of crazy new sound effects and music. Anyhow, NASCAR ended the second round last week. Chase Elliott, like I predicted, pulls the victory off. He was pretty much the main guy from beginning to end at the Roval there in Charlotte. As I predicted, like I said, I called that because I knew he's really solid there. So pretty decent race. A little bit of craziness all weekend there. They had a lot of rain from the weather, from the hurricane weather. So they let him race with the rain tires, and man, it was pretty cool to watch. Even the Xfinity series kind of reminded you of some of the accidents, like a snow pile up on the interstate or something. So definitely, if you had missed out on that, it was different. Anyhow, there was elimination. Kyle Busch, your last year's champion, he's out. He is out. Kind of happy to hear that. But anyways, Austin Dillon, Clint Boyer, who also announced his retirement. Unfortunately, that's the sad thing. He just a couple years in with Stuart Haas, and I always liked that guy. He just speaks his mind. But he will be in the booth next year, so that'll be fun to hear. And Eric Himola, also from Stuart Haas, eliminated. Baseball playoffs still moving along. We're down to 4 right now. Tampa Bay's up on the Astros, the Braves up on the Dodgers, looking like maybe a Georgia-Florida World Series. We'll see. If you're hearing this now, the bubble NBA championship is decided. It went to oh no, not the Lakers. Yeah, that's right. The Los Angeles Lakers. Who would have believed it? I saw it coming in. I was hoping it wouldn't be, but whatever. It's cool. They do have a short turnaround to jump right back into next year. You know, there's a couple months layoff with this messed up year we're in. It'll be interesting to see how quick they get back into camp or whatever they're going to do and moving forward. It'd be pretty cool to see that coming up. We'll talk about that, obviously, in the future when it does happen. Once again, you're listening to the E's and B's podcast. I'm your host, Eddie B. I'm glad to have you here on this beautiful Friday. Like I said, we are celebrating Halloween Havoc all month long here on the podcast. We got special guests and special projects all month long. Watch along, go to the easeandbees.com, vote on which Halloween Havoc you want to see me and my homeboy Brian watch. Can't wait, it's going to be fun. The last Friday of the month, right before Halloween. Hopefully that's when Shocktober will be going down for Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. Some things have been going on there with some health issues or whatever not. That's okay, just make sure everybody's health safe and ready to go. We'll have a good show when it's time. Definitely talk a little bit more about that. We have a slate Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling talent coming up. First today, the champ, Dustin Urich. Next week, we have Jumbo. He will be on slate for next month. Just a lot of cool things coming. Can't wait. Don't forget to go to the website page, easeandbees.com. Vote on that. Also, sign up for Patreon. We're still waiting to give away a lot of free stuff, guys. A lot of free stuff out there to be had. So, anyways, moving forward here on the Sunny Side Up, we're going to talk a little bit about the wrestling side of things, guys. That's right. SmackDown and Raw had their draft. Not really a lot of big news coming out of it. The big topic everybody's been talking about, obviously, the New Day have been split up. Big E on one, and obviously Kofi and Xavier Woods, who is now back, and they're now champs again. They're on the other. So that's kind of interesting. They have kept most of the rivalries that we've been talking about here lately. They've kept them together. Bayley and Sasha, for instance, Orton and Drew McIntyre, the Hurt Business and the silly, Retribution. Yeah, that's right. They got drafted. I don't understand that. Somebody please let me know what your thoughts are on Retribution. I'd like to get in a little topic talk with some of that, just silliness. So yeah, they had their draft. It was okay. They had a few fights in between on both shows this past week. So the women, like I said, they stayed pretty much feud adjacent on shows. So nothing special. Nothing that I was expecting a surprise guest or a surprise name. Things didn't really, change as much as I was hoping for, I should say. Anyhow, moving on about some more wrestling. Ring of Honor. They're in the middle of their tournament. If you guys can't catch that, that's on Fight. Go check that out. It's very talented. It's more wrestling, no gimmick. Kind of what we like a little bit here and there on the E's and B's. That's all right. Impact this week was pretty good. Kept to some of the same storylines. Are on their way for Bound in Glory. EC3, he finally got what he deserved. Doc Gallows, he did some one-on-one with Madman Fulton. That was pretty cool. Basically, everything just still lining up for their October 24th pay-per-view. So hopefully they'll have something pretty cool about that in the next 2 weeks before it happens. Also, they're pushing the Talkin' Shop Mania 2 with the Talkin' Shop boys. If you haven't seen the first one, I wouldn't say I recommend it, but I wouldn't say I don't, if you know what I mean. It's out there. But it's parodies on all the wrestling stuff out there, from where they came from, stuff they've seen, probably. There's a lot of celebrities in it, so it's only like $15 or something crazy. It's worth it. Anyhow, moving on, a lot of injuries coming out of NXT the last 2 weeks. 3 huge names. And I was talking with my wife, Lauren, and if you think about it, in the last 2 months, 4 of their main players are out at NXT. We're talking Finn Balor, Ridge Holland, who's just coming up, but he's out. Killian Cross, he got injured prior. Kyle O'Reilly was injured, but he still showed up. But still, you just think about it. Those 3 to 4 names, and then also now they're saying maybe even Adam Cole, baby. So just a lot of injuries coming out of NXT. Good stuff happening, but it just seems like every time they get a good storyline going, something bad happens, somebody gets hurt, and they're set back. And that's unfortunate. Let me know what you guys think out there. Like I said, follow us at easeandbees.com. Hey, become a member on Patreon. We're giving away free stuff, man. We are dying to send this stuff out. Also, looking for the first person to watch our video on YouTube and comment for Juice Robinson autograph, as well as we have a couple shirts to give away. All kinds of cool stuff. So definitely follow us at easebees.com, and it'll direct you to all the cool things that are coming up. Sticking in here in the Sunny Side Up, the last thing I got as far as wrestling side for you on last week's shows was the anniversary show for AEW. I was expecting a big show, and I got a small order of hash browns. This is what I got. And I'm not gonna sit here and hate on the whole show and pick it apart like a cornet or anything like that. I am gonna say I did like the fact that Archer and Moxley brawled throughout the whole show, and then straight into a good match. It was okay. It was okay. Let's talk about it. Every title was on the line. Sheeta, Big Swole. Obviously, Sheeta took the title back home. FTR put on a display like they always do against Best Friends. They kept the title. Cody Rhodes and Orange Cassidy going back to one of his brother's classics, and I've talked about it about Halloween Havoc more than once on here, with him and Steve Austin when Dustin and Steve went to Time Limit, massive show. Well, his brother trying to mimic it with Orange Cassidy. I wouldn't say it held a candle close to it, but hey, we'll put him at the dinner table and say it was a good fight between the two. Definitely showing a little bit of Orange's other side. He showed his goofy side, but Cody still looking good. And now they're saying 2 weeks from now, it's going to be them two again in a longer time limit. So, and by the way, during that match, Darby Allin's sitting up in the nosebleed, checking it out. Seems like the storyline is going to be winner of this little battle take on Darby. So, not bad. We had MJF come out and announce that he struggled to announce that he wanted to be in the Inner Circle, but that's what he said. The storyline is set here. It was not okay. They set it up to where Jericho said, how about we have a steak dinner? So they're going to meet up for a steak dinner, another little gimmicky, spotty, whatever you want to call it, thing they're going to do. I still see a storyline coming out of this between them two getting into a fight. But the one I'm really anticipating is maybe MJF and Sammy. That would be a solid little storyline. Hey, as well as maybe Hager and Wardlow. Let me know what you guys think. That's what I'm thinking. That would be pretty cool. I'm not too much on the Jericho versus MJF just because I feel like Jericho's gonna dumb it down too much, in my opinion. But that's all right. Hopefully we'll get something good out of that. Let me know what you guys think. So yeah, that was on the 1 year anniversary Dynamite show. They closed it up, like I said, with Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. Jon Moxley gets the win, but in the meantime, Eddie Kingston was with the commentators for the whole endurance of the match, and when the match was over, he decided him and his boys to go and take hands of Moxley. He's not done with Moxley. He feels like he never submitted. So now we're going from he wasn't eliminated. Now he didn't submit. What do you guys think he's going to say next? He didn't tap. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's pretty cool. I like Eddie Kingston. His promos are by far top notch. Best there is they got going right now. They're almost, Cody's obviously the best, along with Jericho as well, and MJF. But anyhow, to round up the Sun Aside here, guys, I want to talk about the Halloween Havoc moment of the week. And with that, we'll get a lightning strike. It's 94, Hogan versus Flair. Hogan was steel the face. First kind of time when we seen Hogan Flair, they were in a steel cage. You know, everybody had been anticipating these two, and what ends up coming out of this is more of a storyline versus Beefcake was the guy that hit him with the bar, hurt his knee, turned his back on his man. One of the worst storylines, in my opinion. And that's what I've got on the sunny side. Alright, guys. So that was the sunny side up. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, we got special stuff today. All Halloween Havoc and murder mystery involved. But coming up next, it's the meat segment. This week, we got a first. E's and B's fans, that's right. For the first time, I'm proud to announce the first female wrestler interview from Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Lilith Grimm.
Okay, folks, as promised, what everybody has been waiting for. The first female wrestler on the E's and B's podcast, coming from Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome in Lilith Grimm. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, enjoying it minute by minute, and pretty much trying to take it second by second. So, yeah.
I feel that.
Right on. Well, as I spoke, this is obviously the first time that we have a female wrestler on the E's and B's podcast. So, for my listeners out there, Lilith, can you maybe explain a little bit about yourself? Maybe how long you've been in wrestling or something like that?
Yeah. So I've been training wrestling for about a year and a half now. And I had my official debut in June. It was supposed to be in April, but 2020. So,
Right.
I started having matches in June.
Okay, so not very long. So I got to tell my listeners, obviously you come from Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. So what led you to wrestling?
It's a funny story. So I'm not a lot of wrestlers you talk to, you ask them like, oh, when did you get into wrestling? Most of them say, since childhood.
Right.
I'm a little different in that. I got into wrestling in about 2013.
Okay.
I was introduced to it, and I fell madly in love with wrestling. It was amazing. It completely captivated me, and I continued to watch it kind of in secret.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't really talk about it with anybody, and just kept it to myself. And then I've been a performer for a majority of my life. I was in bands, went on tour, did all that jazz.
Okay.
But for a good portion of my performing career, I was a burlesque dancer.
Oh.
And a mutual burlesque dancer, a friend of mine that we've been friends for I think 6 years. It's been a while. We were going to do a duet together, and we were sending music back and forth, trying to figure out what song to use. And I sent him Bray Wyatt's theme song.
Okay, cool.
Okay, well, we're obviously using that song, but how do you know that song? And I said, well, it's my favorite wrestler's theme song. And he was like, did you just say favorite wrestler? I was like, yeah, I know it's kind of lame, but I love it. I watch it all the time. And he was like, you do know I've been a wrestler for 14 years. I was like, wait, seriously? Why have we never talked about this? And then 2 weeks later, I'm at New Era Wrestling, managing a wrestler for my first show. And then a week after that, I started training. And a year and a half later, here we are.
Oh, man, what a great story that is. Yeah, definitely. That's why I love about this is getting in touch with you guys and letting my listeners hear all the great stories of how this came about, because not everybody's the same. And as I expressed week in, week out, I promote you guys heavily in all the indie wrestlers and smaller wrestling groups and stuff around the world, because, you have to start somewhere. And, not everybody knows your story. And, a lot of people don't understand out there that when they see the big time on TV, that then people have worked very hard sometimes just to even get there.
Absolutely.
Going into this, 2 weeks from now, I guess this will be, next weekend, my fault. Shocktober was rescheduled because of uncircumstances that we don't want to talk about. That's okay. But all my listeners know out there, the Lockettes title is vacant.
It is vacated.
What can you tell me about that? What's your game plan to get your hands on that?
That match, going into that match, there, if you follow Rocky Mountain Pro on Twitch and you follow Charged and Milestone and everything that happened to lead up to this match, this isn't just a normal match. There's some history to the three of us. Ali Gatto and Rochelle Riveter and I have we've had our encounters over the last 2 months, and there's some personal beef I feel between all of us. That this vacated title, it means a lot to. I feel like it means a little bit more to Ali Gatto and Rochelle Riveter, who have held the title before. I'm obviously fairly new to Rocky Mountain Pro, and my main concern is just causing the most pain I possibly can. That's what Lilith Grimm enjoys. However, if while I cause the most pain I possibly can, I also win the Lockettes title, that's just a bonus. Well,
you could definitely be going in there as the underdog. Like you said, they've both held the title before. Hey, bigger things have happened, but yeah, I have faith in you, and here in this special month of Shocktober. I think it just suits you well. And, let's talk a little bit things outside of wrestling, though. How about that? A silly question I like to ask all my listeners and all my fans and interviews is, what is your favorite breakfast item?
My favorite breakfast item. Does a pumpkin spice latte count?
Hey, if that's what you have for breakfast and that's your favorite, then that's that, right? There's so many different answers. I had Hazard on not too long ago, and he obviously says he has a cookie show, and he does sporadically. But he was talking about a breakfast pizza that was just sounding delicious. But yeah, everybody's different, so that's okay. So you said you didn't really follow wrestling as a kid, so I assume you wouldn't know much about Halloween Havoc, huh?
Not too much. I've tried to go back. I'm not trying. I do go back and I watch, play catch up for all those years that I've missed. But that one I'm not terribly familiar with.
Okay, well, that'll eliminate what I was going to ask you what your favorite Halloween Havoc match was, because that's obviously Halloween Havoc here on the Easy Bees podcast. Staying in the same realm with horror and stuff like that, what's your favorite Halloween movie?
Oof. My favorite Halloween movie. Well, I have go-tos that I have to watch every Halloween or every October. Which, I mean, the whole month of October is Halloween. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Evil Dead. I don't know. It's not necessarily a horror film, but I have to watch it every October. Is Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
Evil Dead, Cabin in the Woods. I tried to watch the entire Conjuring franchise. I mean, of course, the classics: Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Everybody's got to watch those classics that always advertise every year, for sure.
At the end of the day, I'm just a typical spooky girl, and I love all things Halloween and horror. So,
and that's what I would like to touch upon a little bit here this month. I brought you in, but that's not the main reason. My main reason is we're celebrating the first female, and I'm very grateful for you coming on. Going back to a little bit more of your wrestling career here, could you tell maybe my listeners out there, what was your favorite match up to date right now that you wrestled in?
Favorite match that I've wrestled in up to date? I'm torn. I'm torn between two matches. I really enjoyed my most recent match, which was at Respect Women's Wrestling. It was a singles match I had against Athena Estrada. That was a lot of fun, and I picked up my first victory at that match. So
nice.
So it'll have a special piece of my heart forever. But I think one of my probably my favorite match that I've done was a match out in Utah at Devotion Wrestling. It was a tag match, intergender tag match. My tag partner was this clown boy by the name of Mr. Versus Lola the Adventurer and Echo. And tagging with Mr. Happy was some of the most fun I've ever had wrestling. Like, it was just an absolute blast, and we got to cause a lot of damage and cause a lot of pain, and it was just fun.
That's cool. That's another thing I was just thinking about as you said that. You also, you don't just wrestle at Rocky Mountain Pro. You wrestle for a couple other places, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't think about Respect Women's Wrestling written down here, Devotion Championship Wrestling. Is that right?
Yes, out in Utah.
Okay. So a couple more things. What could you tell us about now, Lilith, about the women's division and where you think it's heading?
The women's division of Rocky Mountain.
Sure. Yeah, you wrestle a couple other places. We'll keep it local for right now. Maybe we can express on it as a whole after, or both, whatever. Sure.
The women's division of Rocky Mountain. It's obviously, it's small in stature, but it's fierce. It's very fierce. Ali Gatto and Rochelle Riveter are by far, hands down, some of the best female talent, not just in Colorado, but I'd say in this entire region. So, I'd say the women's division of Rocky Mountain Pro is definitely Small but mighty.
One of the bigger names that's going on right now in the big leagues at AEW is Abaddon. She, came out of left field for most people. I saw it. I was there in person to see when AEW came to town right before it all shut down. But yeah, and people don't understand. Like even her, she doesn't have as much experience as people would think, and she's coming down the same path that you came. What can you tell me about her? Or have you?
Abaddon is absolutely amazing. She's definitely somebody that I've looked up to since I started wrestling. I believe she has a year on me. She started training about a year before I did. So I followed all the second I started training, I got involved in the local scene and followed all of her matches, and she earned her spot in AEW. She deserves this push, and she definitely helped put Colorado on the map and helped put Rocky Mountain Pro on the map because that's where she came from, and we're all very proud of her.
Definitely, and don't shortchange yourself. You're not far from it. Anybody, it can happen to anyone, and you just gotta keep going for your dream. And if that is your dream, who knows? You could be there just as easy as she was. I'd love to see you guys as a tag team on AEW. That'd be great.
Oh man, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Hey,
my only regret, my biggest anger of the whole 2020 situation is that I didn't get a match with Abaddon before she went to AEW. That's the only thing that I am actually angry about with 2020.
The only great thing to put on top of that little bad spill there is they're one company that I could see don't count it just yet. Don't count it out just yet, because I could see, maybe in the future when things kind of open up a little bit more, because they let their talent do a lot of stuff outside of AEW. So maybe. Maybe we could come across something like that. But I suggest this: if we put off the Abaddon Lilith Grimm tag team special at AEW, I ask for one match as your manager, and that's it. Just kidding.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, Lilith. As we're starting to wind a few things down here on the E's and B's podcast, well, we've kind of touched on a few things I've asked, or a few things I have written down here. But if there was an inspiring Lilith Grimm fan out there, what could you tell them to make them feel a little bit better about their dreams?
At the end of the day, the only thing you need is motivation. And with motivation and dedication and hard work, you can achieve anything you want. I've led an interesting life. If I were to write an autobiography, it would be titled, "I Don't Know How My Life Got This Weird." I've been in multiple bands. I've been on tour. I've been a burlesque dancer. I've been a blacksmith, a welder. I've been a graphic designer, a tech support agent. I've done a lot of different things. And when I found wrestling, when I started training, when I came to that first night, and I took my first move, and I bumped in the ring for the first time ever. Like it was a wake up call. It was the moment. Like, this is what I was meant to do. And it wasn't right away. Like it took a couple months, and I almost gave up on wrestling, if I'm being honest. Like it was hard. It was really hard, and I was just like, I'm too old. Like I can't do this. I used to be a gymnast, and I'm like, I have all these injuries from gymnastics. What am I trying to do? And then I had a trainer really believe in me, and I took like a month off because of I was just like, bumped and bruised, and I felt sore. And the trainer reached out, and they were like, "Hey, why aren't you at training?" "Oh, I can't." No. "Why aren't you at training?" I said, "Yeah, yes, sir." I came back to training, and like that, I don't know what it was that clicked in me that day, but that was the day that I was like, "Yeah, I can do this," and switched my mindset and just completely dedicated my life to pro wrestling. Like I eat, sleep, breathe pro wrestling. I think about it 24/7. I train as often as I can. I surround myself with it, and I can't imagine my life without it now. So all I can say to my fans or to aspiring wrestlers or young females that see me doing what I do is, it's never too late. to find your mission in life, your passion. Like,
Absolutely.
keep searching, and you don't have to choose. You don't have to choose one thing, and you don't have to choose while you're 18 years old coming out of high school. Like, 18-year-old me would not have thought that 27-year-old me would become a pro wrestler.
Right.
But I'm glad I did. So, like, just keep searching. You'll find what it is that makes your life meaningful. And when you do, you'll never work a day in your life. When you find what gives you passion and fulfills you to your core, chase it. Do whatever you absolutely can. Sacrifice everything to make that dream a reality.
That's a great message, Lil. A great message. And I totally 100% agree. As I say here, I'm chasing the dream myself as well as you. Like I said, I believe in you. I think that great things are in store. I'll be there in October. I hope to get to see you and meet you for just a split second. Obviously, social distance stuff will be required. We understand that here from my listeners. But as we wind things down with, I always offer up to you interviewees. Is there anything you'd like to ask already be here or put out there for all the listeners to hear?
I mean, your future is grim.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All you lady listeners out there, let me tell you, this is the future. Don't cut yourself short. Kind of like she said in her speech, go for your dreams. Once again, folks, I welcome it. I had on my show, Lilith Grimm. It's been an honor, a pleasure. It's been fun. Is there any way for the listeners out there they can reach you at to maybe, say hey or get at you after you want to push?
Absolutely. And the honor has been mine. Thank you so much for having me. This has been one of the best podcasts I've been on. I super appreciate this. Yes, you can find me. I'm on all of the social medias. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. You can find me, just search Lilith Grimm with 2 M's, except for on Twitter where I'm at Grimm Lilith because they hate me for some reason. You can find me on Twitch as Lilith Grimm the Demon. I stream every Friday, except for this last Friday, on the Rocky Mountain Pro Twitch stream. I do a show called Demon Drawings, where I draw people with it I take Rocky Mountain Pro wrestlers and I give them abs. It's essentially what my show is.
Right, that sounds great. I know I've checked it out a little bit.
Without giving them abs, because that's how that show always ends up. So that's every Friday at 7 p.m. That time might be changing in the future because we're going to start having our shows on Fridays. So, but yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. I'm mostly active on Facebook, trying to be better about my Twitter. But yeah, so Facebook's really, really where you can find me. I have a like page and I also have a friend page.
Bees.com page. You'll be able to find her. We'll have her stuff linked to our page this weekend and things like that. Hey, we're looking forward to Shocktober. I wish you good luck. I promise there could be good things to come. I can't wait to see. And like I said, it was an honor and pleasure to have you, Lilith. Once again, folks, that's Lilith Grimm from Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling.
Well, Grimm! Man, that was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did, because let me tell you what, we enjoyed it so much. As promised, this week, we're having Lauren's Murder Mystery, and she has invited back Lilith Grimm. Enjoy. We got Murder Mysteries with Lauren and Lilith Grimm.
Welcome back, everybody. And as you know, I have been chosen to do the murder mystery of the month. My murder mystery I chose was the death of Dino Bravo. And joining me here is Lilith Grimm.
Hello.
We are going to go through the life and the death of Dino Bravo, kind of shoot some ideas out there of what we think may have happened to him the night of March 10th, 1993, when his wife and his young daughter found him shot to death in their home. Okay, so to start out, he was born as Adolfo, I believe it's Briceño, on August, I probably said that wrong, He was born in Italy, so he's Italian. Born in southern Italy on August 6th, 1948. His family, his mom and dad, and I believe it was just him, moved him when he was really young to Canada, and he started training as an amateur wrestler at the age of 12. Now, that seems pretty young to me. I don't know. How old were you when you first started wrestling?
I was 26.
Okay, 26. Were
So
you
I'm old.
Yeah, no, you're not. Were you even thinking about wrestling at age 12? Because I don't think I was thinking about my future when I was 12.
No, when I was 12, I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Wow, that's really cool though. That's a pretty big accomplishment. That's really cool. So yeah, he started at the age of 12, pretty young. In 1970, that's where he first came up with his name. He trained with, I think it's Gino Brito, and they were in a tag team together for a while. And it was said that Gino was also his cousin. So when they were in a tag team together, they were a tag team of cousins. In the late 70s, he started getting big enough to do singles in Montreal. That's where he won the new Canadian heavyweight title in December 1978. The same year, he won the WWF World Tag Team title from Professor Tonka and Mr. Fuji. So that was pretty cool. Then in late of 78, he lost the tag team title in Canada, unfortunately. In the 80s, it seemed like he teamed up with Haku, but it didn't seem to go very well. They didn't have very many matches there. And in 86, he was supposed to headline a card actually against Hulk Hogan, but the match was canceled because it was supposed to be in Canada, and they didn't want the Canadians to be cheering for Dino Bravo over Hulk Hogan. So when he found this, absolutely. And when he found this out, he was like, fuck this, I'm out. So he left after finding all that out. He then returned to the WWF, or World Wrestling Federation, late in 86. And when he did, he came in with a whole new look. He was noticeably more muscular, and he dyed his hair bleach blonde, which he was Italian, so of course it was pretty dark brown. And he became a heel then. He also became part of a group along with Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake. So he was kind of in that whole group together. After WrestleMania 3, though, he teamed up with Greg Valentine to create a tag team, like Dream Team. And that's where he started getting like a pretty big push there. So that's when I think he started getting a lot more notice and becoming quite a bit bigger. Big enough that during that time he was able to return to singles matches, still, doing his bleach blonde hair. And now he was doing more like strongman stuff rather than his technical usual wrestler stuff. So yeah, and I was kind of confused by that because they said when he first started out and in most of his tag teams, he was a technical wrestler, but then now he was switching over to like a strongman gimmick. Do you know the difference?
I do.
Okay, good.
With myself.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Yeah, so like the technical wrestler would be somebody that you see, they come in and they do more of like a more amateur style wrestling, like actual grappling. You can see that they think more, and that their wrestling style is more on the mat and all that. And then strongman or powerhouse style is I'm bigger than you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick you up and put you down.
Yes. Nice. Is that your favorite?
It is. It is my favorite. I do enjoy throwing people.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed like so did Dino Bravo. He actually switched his finishing move was changed from a more technical one, the airplane spin, Now,
Okay.
in the strongman gimmick, it was a sidewalk slam.
Oh, I do
So
love a
what's the
good sidewalk
difference
slam.
between those? Yeah, what does that even look like?
So the airplane spin is you get the person up on your shoulders in a fireman's carry
Okay.
and you spin them around.
Okay.
Um, it makes you very dizzy,
Does
and
it?
it takes a
I
lot
bet.
out of you, honestly. Like taking that move. I've taken it. Oh, who did I take it? I took it from Damon Ace once at training, and that I was like, wow, like I'm dead. I'm exhausted. That was awful. But yeah, and then so the sidewalk slam. It's more of what you'd expect, like a big beefy person to do.
Yeah,
It has the word slam in the name, so you pick
absolutely.
them up and you put them down.
That's right. Do you ever do that? You ever do the
I
sidewalk
do
slam?
sidewalk slams every now and then. That's not really like my favorite slam to do, but
Right.
I just enjoy slams in general, so I'll do them from every now and then.
Nice, nice. Yeah, they always seem to get a good pop. I think they look great. So so he changed from more technical, like you were saying, to now more of like a strongman gimmick. He seemed to be very good at it. He of course was still doing his heel move. Are you a heel as well?
Yes,
Yes.
I do. I like to play outside the rules every now and then.
Nice. Okay. I like that answer. So during this time when he was doing his strongman gimmick, he was so in 1988 at that Royal Rumble of that year, he did something that kind of proved his transformation into his strongman gimmick. He was attempting to bench press 715 pounds, and that would have set the world record at that time. And he was kind of setting it up himself, I guess, at the world or at the Royal Rumble, and Jesse Ventura was kind of like helping him, but he was said to have gotten it and set the world record. So after he did that, he called himself, I believe it was the strongest man in the world at that time. Yeah, he was coined the strongest man in the world for bench pressing that much.
I mean, that's an impressive bench. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't bench. My bench is awful, but my deadlift is the heaviest I've deadlifted is 300,
that's impressive.
but my bench is like 140.
Well, it's extremely hard. I think the deadlift is probably more hard than the bench press, especially if you don't have somebody. I just think it's harder to get it up, but you get to use your whole body. You're right. When you're bench pressing, it's just kind of all that upper strength.
Yeah, it's like I'm 210 pounds, and I'd say the majority of that weight's in my legs.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. So after that, he just started, pretty much taking off in WWF. He had a few more matches that were pretty memorable. He won a couple. I'd say he probably lost more than he won. But after that, in August of 91, he changed back over to being a face. He didn't bleach his hair anymore, and he wasn't with Jimmy Hart or Greg Valentine or Bruce Beefcake, which had left previously before that. He also started wrestling back in Canada, doing more house shows. So that sounded to me like maybe he got sick to me, it just kind of sounded like he was maybe being forced to play this role that maybe wasn't so much him. I think he liked the strongman gimmick, but he started out doing technical wrestling, not dyeing his hair and not having to be, this specific person. So now that he did that, he switched back to being a face. He kind of was doing singles on his own back in Canada, doing house shows, didn't bleach his hair anymore. Sounds like he kind of wanted to go back to like his old ways, I guess.
And I can see that, being the quote unquote heel. It's difficult because you don't get the accolades, you don't get the praise. You know, the crowd obviously doesn't like you because you're you're cheating. You know, you're going outside the rules. So
Yeah.
you don't get the praise of the crowd. But for me personally, I enjoy it because I get the satisfaction of hurting people. So
You like
that's
that,
its own
huh?
reward in itself. But I can understand that some people they like the praise and they like the crowd being cheering their name.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see that everybody who knew him said that he was loved by everybody and just the sweetest person ever. He was this big, strong guy, but he would always help people out in a pinch. And he was just, took time to talk to people whenever, they just needed somebody to listen to him. So it sounds like, maybe he was just kind of sick of the whole thing, wanted to go back to being a little more of himself. He was doing more house shows back in Montreal as a face. He faced against the Mountie, which I thought was kind of funny because he's from Canada as well. Isn't he supposed to be like the big Canadian one? So I'm guessing the Mountie was a heel at this time while Bravo was a face. So I wonder how that worked in Canada. That seems kind of weird to me, like who they cheer
He's
for.
basically just a police officer, so
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good
the
point.
crowd
So,
out there saying heck the Mounties.
yeah, yeah, I know. When I first saw him, I was like, what is this? Like, that's what Canada picked for their main like person. I thought it was hilarious. He was facing up against the Barbarian as well in those house shows. So obviously as a face against those two, we just talked about how that would work out. His final match ever was against Colonel Mustafa. No,
Okay.
Mustafa. Yes, I did say that right. Mustafa. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, that name does ring a bell.
I don't know much about him or where he's from. He did lose. Or sorry, it wasn't against Colonel Mustafa. He teamed up with Colonel Mustafa to face the Legion of Doom in England.
I do love the Legion of Doom.
I know. Yes, they're the best tag team, I think. So they lost. Dino Bravo and Colonel Mustafa, of course, lost to the one and only Legion of Doom. That was in Sheffield, England, his last show. And after that, he left WWF and he retired after that whole European tour and obviously that show. He went home to Canada where he helped to train up and coming Canadian wrestlers in Montreal. So while he was doing that, he obviously was not making enough money to support his created lavish lifestyle. He was married. He had one daughter, lived in a huge house, drove nice cars, the whole pro wrestler dream, pretty much. And then it all abruptly came to an end, like we said earlier, on March 10th in 1993. On that evening, it had been snowing in March, Canada, still going to be snowing quite a bit up there. So his wife and his daughter had left to go to, the wife took the daughter to ballet lessons or something. So she left to take the daughter to her dance lessons. He was just going to stay home. I think he had worked that day, and by worked, it was kind of questionable about what he was doing. So I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, I've read up a little bit about that.
Yeah. So he stayed home that evening and was going to watch a hockey game. Well, when the wife and daughter returned, they found him where he was sitting in his recliner, but he wasn't moving because he had been shot execution style 17 times, 7 in the head and 10 in the torso by a semi-automatic 22, which I'm thinking probably had a silencer on it because no neighbors reported anything. Yeah, that's kind of weird. And, if you see like some of the crime scene footage, his neighbors weren't that far away. I mean, he kind of lived in like a cul-de-sac. So it wasn't, like he lived 10 miles away from his neighbor. They lived.
Yeah, like somebody definitely heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. To be shot 17 times. Somebody had to have heard something, especially in like I said, a cul-de-sac. And
Or at
it's
least the
snowing
weekend.
outside, how quiet it is when it snows, so I don't buy the fact that nobody didn't hear anything. The police say they didn't find any footsteps outside of the house, even though it had just snowed. So that was always questionable.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if they just missed it or what happened. So he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't making as much money as he was, of course, when he was doing tag teams against the Legion of Doom. His wife's uncle, his name was Vic Catroni, and he was a member of the Catroni crime family. He is said to have offered to give him a job smuggling cigarettes, illegal cigarettes, and selling them to Native Americans on the border. And of course, the Native Americans absolutely loved Dino Bravo, and they loved wrestling. They were all fans. So, it was huge. It was key for them making, all that money with him. Plus, he was huge. So, he was kind of like an intimidator and an enforcer. Yeah. I think to make extra money and stay up on their lifestyle, he was kind of forced to do that. Also, that night on March 10th, there was no sign of a struggle. There was no robbery. Like I said, there was no footprints outside in the snow. There was no forced entry. It left everybody wondering who the hell shot him.
Yeah, he had to have known the person.
Right. Yeah. And I always thought that was key. There was large amounts of money, cash, left in his house that was untouched. So, and his safe, which only one other person knew the combo to, was found open, but nothing was taken out of it. So my first theory after hearing all of that was that it was a hit from somebody within the organized crime family.
Or maybe a rivalry one.
Yeah, or a rival. There was also said to be a coke dealer that he was also getting involved with. And there was this $400,000 deal that was botched where the cops found out and raided it before the product was even pushed. After that happened, there was a lot of finger pointing. And that's when Dino Bravo started saying to his friends that his life was in danger and, he felt like something was going to happen to him. And long behold, he gets found shot execution style a week later. So, that another theory was that the coke dealer maybe came to talk to him. He let him in the house. He gets up and walks behind him and just shoots him to prove a point, and nobody's going to steal his money or steal his product or set him up, And then my third theory was that it was his uncle or his wife's uncle, that maybe within the crime family, the boss of that crime family, I think, told him, hey, your nephew's got too much heat on him, with this coke deal gone wrong. It's either he goes or you go, Another thing I thought was really interesting was the fact that he was shot and killed when his wife and daughter were out of the house.
So they probably cased it and waited for that.
Yeah, I thought that was key. Nobody seems to hit much on that when they talk about it, and I don't think his wife had anything to do with it, but I mean, you never know.
If it was her, he would definitely want her to not be there.
Exactly.
Like the coke dealer wouldn't have cared.
No, I don't think so. I think he would have
just jumped him too.
Yeah. And I don't think he would have went over there to talk. I think he would have, shot him in his driveway or, the next time he saw him. Like you said, I don't think he would have cared whether his family was home or not. He he wanted his money or his drugs, and he was going to get.
And then if he would have, and the fact that they left the money there,
Yeah.
that kind of aims a little bit more to it being the uncle, because leaving it open means that the wife can get to it now.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that because, yeah, they said only one other person knew the combo, and I don't think it was his wife. So,
Yeah,
that's
so
a
now
good
she had
point.
access to all that money, so
Yeah.
maybe it was her. Maybe she put the hit on him.
See, that's another thing and nobody talks about that because, she was actually in the dark side of the ring and talking about, how it was this big tragedy on their family and this and that and the other. But, at the same time, it's like, did anyone stop and, look at her? No, I'm not saying
If
she
it was
did it,
her,
but
yeah.
because I
I
think
mean, out of everybody, it seems like she would benefit the most.
she would benefit the most. And, her uncle could go about his business without any heat, I guess, anymore. If he was drawing heat and attention and cops were showing up, then problem solved, said and done.
Yeah, especially if it was done execution style, like that shows intent. Like that was the purpose of that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think it was like I don't think the coke dealer would have done it, because I mean they may have done it the execution style, but they would have taken the money too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, why would he be? I don't think he would have let them into his home where his
Right.
family lived.
Yeah. Or even let him know where he lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just on the off chance that his wife and kid came home early.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys in there because it sounds like he wasn't that much of a scuzzball, so I don't think he'd put his family at
Right.
risk like that. So I think the coke dealer's out.
I think so too. So that theory probably is pretty much gone. So then it's probably, or another theory, I thought it could have just been a random friend that had absolutely nothing to do with it.
That's true. Maybe he was more of a thing than you let on.
Yeah, it could have been, and it could have been, that his friend came over and, something happened in the past that they didn't agree on. I mean, you never know. Long and behold, he just gets pissed and, gets up and shoots him execution style. But
17 times.
17 times. Yeah. Yeah. With nobody to say anything. And I think
And
for
that goodbye, it's just it's the space being left open. That's the key that's really getting me. That's the part that I'm focusing on.
yeah, that's a big part,
Because if he's involved with the mafia and drugs and all that, there had to have been a lot of money in that safe.
Exactly. Or anywhere in his home, and they didn't take any of it. So that showed that they didn't want it, but they wanted him dead.
They just wanted to prove a lesson.
Yeah. That's my favorite theory. I really think that the uncle had something to do with it. And I think, he didn't want his niece to be involved and her daughter. So I think he kind of planned it like, hey, I'll just take care of this issue when they're out and about one of these nights this week, catch him when he's off guard, go over and talk to him, watch a hockey game with him, and take care of it.
Boom, bam.
Boom, bam. Yeah.
That's my favorite theory. I think it was the uncle.
Yeah, I think so too. But it still remains unsolved. I don't think anybody ever was even arrested for it. So kind of a sad tragedy.
Yeah, that is really sad. At least have a suspect.
Yeah. And I don't know if the police were maybe afraid to dig too deep into it, with the whole mafia connection.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could too. I could see that being why the neighbors didn't say anything as well,
Because they probably knew.
Yeah, because they probably had an idea, this guy that keeps showing up every other weekend could look like he's dangerous. Not wanting to
Big
say
scary
anything.
guy. Big scary guys with guns.
Yeah, showing up at your neighbor's house. Yeah. So.
It's like, oh, well, you know what? That's a typical weekend over there.
Yeah, but this time, We're just not going to say anything. Pretend like we didn't hear anything. So that is my murder mystery story of Dino Bravo, pro wrestler and organized crime member, cigarette smuggler.
Whew, ladies and gentlemen, if your head's not turning, your brain's not scrambled from that scrambled egg murder mystery segment, great job, Lauren and Lilith. We really enjoyed that. That was a little twist this month. Lauren put that together. We just kind of shot from the hip. She knows, like she said, most people have already heard about that story. If you haven't seen The Dark Side of the Ring, there's several other stuff out there about it. But she wanted to give her twist on it here in the Halloween month. Just like I said on E's and B's, we're celebrating Halloween Havoc a little bit this month, twisting some things around on the interviews, asking them some questions about it. I touched on earlier about Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in 94 was the Halloween moment of the week. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Check us out, easandbees.com. Follow us on Patreon. We got plenty of good things to give away. Several shirts, I should say. Stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. So follow us, get with us, like, share, subscribe. Well, it's that time. We're rounding down the Friday here, guys and girls. We're gonna head into everybody's segment. It's the toast. Get out your jam, get out your jelly. It's time to spread it. Halloween Havoc. It's been fun all month to catch up on some of those and remind myself how bad some of that was and how good some of that was. Like I said, go to our webpage. We are going to do a watch along here at the end of the month in 2 weeks. Next week, Rocky Mountain champ Dustin Urich. That's right, he's coming on. Hopefully we can talk about his up-and-coming match with sweet Johnny Zudo. As I said, we had a first today. We had the first female wrestler here on E's and B's. Lauren produced the first Murder Mysteries. That was cool. We'll be bringing that back hopefully very, very soon. Let us know what you think about that out there. But as we do on here on the Toast, we're going to give some shout-outs, some reminders. So we're going to let you know what's coming up next. Some last chance reminders. Here's a scary thought. Only 10 Fridays left in the year 2020. I think most people will be happy to hear that. But super shout out, Scott Long, Fast Performance and Rocky Mountain Pro. That's right, thanks Scott. We appreciate you pushing us there on Twitter. Reach us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. We tag all of them Rocky Mountain people. We try to push them as much as possible. And we do appreciate you, Scotty. So Scotty Long, follow him on Twitter. Also, state shout outs, Virginia, Oregon, Colorado, Michigan, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, out of the United States, France. So we appreciate all you listeners out there. We are loving all the feedback we're getting. Still would love to meet some of you more people on Patreon. Please follow us on Patreon, easandbees.com. We wanted to remind you, Shocktober was supposed to be last week. Just got word it's been moved again. We still will have Dustin Urich on next week, talk a little bit to him, find out what's coming up. Hopefully we'll get that pay-per-view in by the end of the month here for Rocky Mountain. That'd be really cool. Can't wait to go to that. Me and Lauren's been looking forward to it. Meeting and greeting with some of them people, spreading the word, spreading the love. That's for sure. E's and B's, that's what we do here, folks. Like I said, plenty of stuff to give away. Lauren's got a lot of cool things coming up. We've been just nose to the grind. That's what we do here at E's and B's, just trying to please the fans out there. We want more listeners to feedback, so you never know that just that one comment might win you the first shirt, or who knows, maybe more. We got some professional autographs to give away, all kinds of good stuff. Also, stay on the lookout, unboxing video coming up at the end of the month. If you are a Patreon member, you'll get the first chance to be the winner before anybody else. That's right, it goes live on Patreon before it does on YouTube. Me and Lauren going to be putting together some cool things for this one coming up. It's obviously Halloween, baby. Definitely check that out. Reminder, go to the easand.com, the webpage. Vote on which Halloween Havoc you want me and my homeboy Brian, my best friend from first grade. I can't wait, man. We're going to have a blast. We're going to talk a little bit about the matches and stuff. See what you guys think. Merch coming soon, folks. We promise. Lauren and I are working hard as well as our other team. We got the store coming up. We plan to have it done by Thanksgiving. We pray. We hope it does. We're working hard. We just need some more feedback from you folks, and definitely some more follows there on Patreon and Twitter and everything else. Man, we appreciate the love, guys. We are bringing you all we can. Most of the time, like I said, I'm not a historian. I'm just doing this for the love of the sport. 10 Fridays left, guys. 2020 is almost up. This is the E's and B's podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week, folks. Like I said, don't forget, follow us on Patreon, easandbees.com. I'll lead you to all the locations you need to follow us on. We're on everything you find your podcast on, so don't be shy. Spread the word. And as always, hey, even though it's getting a little creepy around here, because it's Halloween, don't forget to eat your breakfast.